Okay guys, today is the end of November and it is finally 2 years in the ground with all of this citrus. And look at this. This is one of our Meyer lemons and it is just packed full of lemons galore. But wanted to go ahead and do a tour with you guys on what everything looks like 2 years later into growing citrus in a high tunnel. So we'll go ahead and kind of pan out and we'll kind of go through all of this, but we'll go through basically what we're doing right now. And we are actually growing in a high tunnel, which basically is a greenhouse but with plastic on it instead of polycarbonate or PVC molded into a plastic. So we ended up going this route just to be more cost effective. It's 30 feet wide by 100 feet long, and then to the tip top is going to be 20 feet in the middle. And so we have 40 citrus trees in here. They're all a little bit different from each other. Some are the same, but we are currently 2 years into this. So I planted this at the end of November, early December of 2020. And then 2021, we had our horrible freeze. We bounced back. And then this past summer, we had a horrible drought here in, at least where I live in the central Texas, Waco area, China Spring. And it was the worst drought, even worse than our 2011 drought. So this might be the worst drought in probably 30 or 40 years, if not longer than that. But yeah, the citrus did really well overall. So it was hot, but it wasn't that hot. So we stayed between like 100 to 105, that being the temperature outside. Of course, inside was even hotter than that. But our big thing really was just trying to see if we can go ahead and get all of these past the drought that we had. We had no rain for about, I think, 2.5 months, maybe 3 months. And then all of a sudden we're getting rain, such as today. You guys might be able to hear it in the background, but I'll go ahead and go through all of these plants right here and what everything looks like and how it's doing. And so we'll go ahead and start off on how we usually start off with the satsumas. So this one is a Okitsu satsuma, and we actually took off all the fruit on this guy. And it looks really, really good. It's probably since last year, maybe tripled in size. So it looks good. We have a Sheishan, which looks really good. I decided to leave some of the fruit on it, and you can kind of tell what some of this fruit looks like right now. It looks good. We've been eating some of it so far, but I'll show you some of the other ones that we've been eating too as well. We got a Migwa satsuma as well, and this guy is another large one. We decided to let there be fruit on it. Probably next year we won't have any fruit on these guys, just to give it some time to rest. The bumper crop last year has now probably quadrupled in size, and one of our main reasons is just we didn't leave any fruit on it this year. And you can tell what happens when you don't leave fruit. Looks good. Looks really good. Luscious green. Next year we'll probably get fruit off of this guy. This guy right here had fruit last year, and then I decided to leave a couple fruit on this year. And this one right here is a Miho satsuma. Not as big as the Sheishan at all, or the Migwa, but it's still a good size. We haven't eaten any of the fruit off of it yet. Most likely I will have no fruit next year, as I'll continue to take it off so we can get this to grow bigger and bigger. This guy, and we still have the remnants of it left, but this is a Sito, and you can see these are the fruit. It was a tiny little tree, and it produced probably, I think, like 30 or 40 fruit on a tiny tree. Then we took off all the fruit, and even when fruit was trying to get on here this year, we still took it off. And it has probably also quadrupled in size since we started taking off the fruit. So always a good thing to take it off. So right here we have a Mineola Tangelo. This one probably had about 30 fruit on it. I cut it all the way back, and now I think we're down to maybe 5 or 6 fruit on it. But you can tell it's pretty characteristic of that right there, and it's I mean, it's a great fruit, but the tree has not grown. So definitely for at least the next year, if not longer than that, I am not going to have any fruit on this tree, and we're just going to let it grow and grow. The slowest grower out of all the trees I have, the Clementine Knolls. It finally started growing just a little bit, and I mean just a little bit. It's basically stayed about the same size for quite some time. I'm not sure if the taproot just finally hit and now it's starting to grow, but it's definitely one of those ones that is either a shy grower or maybe it's just the taproot hasn't hit its potential yet. So it's one of those ones that we're just kind of keeping an eye on. And no fruit, hasn't fruited at all. So just one of those ones that, again, we'll keep an eye on. This is the Algerian Clementine, and it is one of our bigger ones. We pick off all the fruit, and it looks good. Looks really good, healthy, vigorous, as well, nice and straight and tall. Right here, we have a Ori Satsuma, and so we let there be a couple fruit on these guys. These are probably as big as the Sheishan or even the Migwa. So they actually look pretty good. We haven't had any fruit yet, but probably in the next week or two, we'll get some more. We have one that's kind of coloring up even better. Over here, we have another Ori as well. Looks good, nice and vigorous. Right here, we have a Brown Select. And I think we just have one or two fruits. I tried to pull off as many as I could, but this is about the size that we're getting right here. And then, we got four fruits. That's about the size that we're getting. They look good. We haven't had any of the fruit off of it yet, probably in the next week or two, give or take. This one right here, nice big surprise. But this is our Orange Frost. Looks big, vigorous, tall, strong, has grown well. And I think we only left, 2 or 3 fruit on it. Again, to see if we can get these to grow a lot bigger, because they ended up taking such a hard hit during our 2021 -9 temperatures. But this one of the smaller Satsumas, but one of the best tasting Satsumas. Very, very impressed by it this year, and we have actually already picked off about 20 fruit on this guy, but this has been our favorite Satsuma yet. This one right here is going to be the Arctic Frost. Has done very, very well. Has not grown really big, but I think just because we had probably 40 fruit on it. I know it's one of my favorites. It's also my children's favorite too as well. So it's a good one. Falls apart easily. You can see all the peels that we have below it. Everything gets recycled back into here. So this is a really good one if you guys are looking for not only cold hardy, easy to peel, attractive, all these nice little orange globes on it too as well. So overall, I think it's probably my favorite Satsuma this year. So something to keep note. And then of course the big gigantic Pakistani mulberries. So these are absolutely humongous. It is very hard to tell from this angle. Let me see if I can go ahead and kind of get a little bit higher. If I stand on some of my bricks that I have over here, but you can tell right there. You can tell over here, both trees are hitting the roof and about to explode through it. So this is another reason why we do the video right now, because we're gonna cut it to about right there. Cut it all the way back. All of these shoots will just go ahead and get mulched up right here. We ended up having a couple of the white Pakistanis make on this particular tree, and they were sparse, I would say, good, but I think next year will probably be our year. Sometimes it can take about 2 to 4 years for them to fruit really well, get a good taproot in, and then kind of go from there. Other thing that is interesting is that not a lot of people get to root these guys, and I ended up putting a couple air layers on this guy, and you can see right here we have roots, and so I will most likely be trying to sell some of these to the general public or our farm stand coming up. I also did some on the purple Pakistani, but the white one tends to be probably the hardest one to go ahead and root. So pretty interesting. This one seems to be easy from cuttings, this one not. So air layered a couple of them. You can see the trunks of these guys. This one has almost try to catch up to the other one, and it is gigantic. And then we'll take a look at this one, which is actually, it has not caught up. Coming down here to take a look, it is just humongous. I can't even get halfway around it, but it is a huge, big, giant tree. So we'll cut this back. We might do a video just so you can see what it looks like when it's cut back and all the leaves are off of it. But these are two that I'm hoping next year we'll have a good abundance of fruit, which will be going into our year 3, or yeah, basically about year 3. So hopefully about April or May of 2023, we'll have a lot of fruit off of those guys. Right here, always doing good all the time. It's our Lips and Lemon. I try to pull off as much fruit as I can. Still grows very tall, very vigorous. You can tell there is Pakistani right there. There is Lips and Lemon. So it is also probably at the height, it might be 15 feet tall, possibly. I don't know, but it's pretty tall overall. It produces lemons, not that many this year because again, I wanted it to grow big and tall. You can see the trunk down here. This one I can wrap my hand around right now. Of course, the rootstock I cannot. So that's a neat one. It's always a good one to get, very vigorous. My most vigorous lemon that I have when it comes to growth, not fruiting. Right here we have our Rio Red grapefruit. I thought it was my biggest, but there's another one that's even bigger. Just a tiny bit bigger, but I would say that's probably close to maybe 13 feet, if not a little bit taller than that. But it produces beautiful, beautiful grapefruit. And I don't know if you guys remember, or if I even showed you the video, but I took off probably about 50 fruit on this guy and threw them all on the ground. And you can kind of see some of the remnants. This is about the size that they were when, I think it was April or May. But we just put them back down here, let them go back into compost, and we left, I think, only like maybe 2 to 4 grapefruit on each tree. Still, even with that, they produce these beautiful, this pink blush right here. Absolutely gorgeous. We're going to be breaking these open within these next couple of weeks to go ahead and taste them to see what a Central Texas grapefruit tastes like compared to our neighbors down south of us. So we're excited about that. Same thing right here, another Rio Red. And I think, yeah, we have about 4 of them on here. But look at that sucker. It is turning that beautiful blush color. Love it. I don't think this one has blush on it yet, but yeah, it looks just great. It's a beautiful, my hand's not that small, but this fruit makes it look small. So a cool one indeed. And this one, I guess, takes the cake now that I kind of see it and how tall it is. But the Ruby Red, again, another really good one. We have some on the other side, and I'll go ahead and show you what the kiss looks like. Basically the same thing. It's starting to develop that kiss. Another beautiful fruit. And then over here too as well, another kiss right there on it. So little by little, these are coming along. I really wanted a lot of growth, and you can see these 3 guys are just absolutely gigantic, getting really big, tall, strong. Again, we'll keep on, we'll continue to go ahead and clip and kind of form these trees to get bigger and bigger. So basically you would have like almost like a tree that gets shaped up like this, and then where we'll be able to kind of grab fruit from the top, and then of course with the ladder too as well. So try to keep them to a manageable size, and also let them just continue to grow healthier and healthier. I'll probably also next year only allow maybe 2 to 4 fruit per tree, at least on these grapefruit, just to taste them. And then hopefully in about 2 years, about 2025, 2026, these will be big enough that I'm probably not gonna be picking any of them off at the beginning of the season. I probably won't thin it at all, and I'll just let them grow and grow during that time. So this one has been one of our shyer growers when it comes to grapefruit. As you can see, this one and this one both planted at the same time, but this one is a Bloom Sweet. No fruit on this guy, completely took it off, so I can try to get it to catch up to these guys, but It's just the vigor, as you can see, just almost dwarfed it, basically. But another good fruit that I've tasted before in the past, but this will probably be another 2 or 3 more years of just pulling fruit off, at least on this guy right now. So this guy, the Hamlin La Sweet Orange, Hamlin Orange, they have all sorts of names for it, but this guy always tries to produce no matter how many times I take the fruit off, and it has basically just stunted itself. And I feel like every year it tries to produce about 20 or 30 oranges on this tiny little tree. I take them off, it tries again, and finally I was just staying consistent with it, taking off all the fruit, and now no fruit right now. It's actually been growing, even though it doesn't look like it compared to all these trees, but it's actually probably doubled in size since I've been taking off the fruit. This will be another 2 or 3 years until I think we get a good crop off of it, because I want it to look like those guys down there. So this guy right here, our Mars Orange, has just exploded. As it has from the beginning. It's just been going and going, has done very well. No issues with it at all. I left lots of oranges, probably maybe 15, 20, which is a decent amount for a small tree to go ahead and keep up with. But we actually will have some soon down there. And I'll kind of show you what the size looks like of a Mars. It doesn't have that navel, like with what you would get with the navel or the Caracara. But it's a good size, just a really good big tree. We'll still also keep on trying to shape it like the other trees as well. Right here, we have the guy that we're trying to catch up to, this guy, the Mars Orange. This is an N33. We tried to take off almost all the fruit. I think we might have left 1 or 2 because I don't know if you guys remember from my previous videos, but we had so many grasshoppers that just decided to come to this tree and just kept on eating it and just chopping away. And then now we're trying to catch it up to this guy right here. And so it's getting there, and it's also even still producing in our winter time right now, which is great. We're currently, this week, we hit the, I think, low of 28, 29. And then most other nights have been in the 30s, and then highs in the 50s. So we're getting there to our winter time. This right here is probably, I think, my most gorgeous fruit tree, specifically with the oranges. This is a Moro Blood Orange. It looks great, has a good canopy to it, good vigor, just an overall good shape to the tree. And this one has gotten so big, at least trunk wise. I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like. So I used to be able to stick my hand around, not anymore. So this has gotten very, very big, very tall, very vigorous, very strong. Last year I had fruit on it. This year I pulled off all the fruit. No, I think there might be 1 piece of fruit on it, but that one escaped me, so I just let it be. But I pulled off probably about 20 at the beginning of the season. Now it has no fruit. Oh no, 1 fruit on it. And so we'll just wait a little bit longer until that one's ready. And hopefully we'll do a video on that one too. This one right here is the Road Red Valencia Orange. Always produces all the time, has gotten really big, tall, strong, vigorous. I'd like to come down here and just chop this area up a little bit more to keep it going as well, and that will come in these next couple of months. But you can kind of see what the fruit looks like. No navel to it. Again, not a red navel, not a Caracara, not a Washington navel, but it's a good orange, great for juicing right here. So, and then this one is my favorite tasting orange overall. Tastes great. It's a good vigorous tree. This is, I'll show you what the fruit looks like. So here it is. Looks good. It's just about to turn, probably another couple more weeks and it will turn. But we left, I think, about maybe 15 fruit on these. These tend to do very well with vigor and also with some fruit. Probably next year we'll probably go down to maybe 5 to 10 fruit on these trees, because I want them to get big, vigorous. I'll probably end up chopping some of this stuff on the bottom a little bit more. But right here is that rootstock that I think you guys might have seen before in the past, that I let go, and I did not chop it back. I just wanted to see what would happen with this rootstock. It looks beautiful. It actually looks maybe even a little bit more beautiful than my other variegated lemon, but I just wanted to see what it looks like, and I'll probably just let it continue to grow during this time. Hasn't hurt the tree, especially with the vigor or production, so we'll just let that go for during this time. But that is coming from the root stock right there. Also the other Caracara, looking good, vigorous. I think we took off a good majority of the fruit on that guy right there, but that is my favorite orange, I would say, currently. So this one right here has just exploded. This is our New Zealand lemonade. I pulled off all the fruit on this guy except for 2. And so it's a good size lemon. They're delicious. You can see from my hand right here, it's a big lemon. And so what we're doing now is just letting it grow. And probably next year we might have maybe 5 or 10. But really, again, we're looking to 2 or 3 more years until all these guys are big and vigorous. Probably, again, cut off some of this down here and just kind of let it continue to grow up and up versus kind of try to spread this way. So this one probably, why they sell so many Meyer lemons is because of this. These Meyer lemons, I have 2 of them, one right here and then one right here. So extremely vigorous, not only growing, but then also at the same time, just putting on tons and tons of lemons. And great tasting lemons. So you can see down here, this was the first thing that I showed you guys, but there's 9 fruit on just this tiny little stem, and it keeps on going around the tree too and in the tree. But the vigor, and why they probably sell so much of it too as well, is I have found, at least in my short time of growing this, through our horrible winter storm in 21, through our drought, it is just done so good. It's done really good. I highly recommend it to people. It's extremely common to find it pretty much anywhere from Texas to probably even way north of us to the East Coast to the West Coast. Literally everywhere. This is the tree you can find, but it's really making a name for itself, at least here on our property, because it just pumps out and pumps out. We probably have over 60 lemons on that tree, and then probably close to that on this tree, but I have to get a little bit lower. But we have quite a bit of lemons that just keep on coming and coming and coming. And again, highly recommend it. Find it anywhere, super cheap. I think probably 30 or 40 bucks at any nursery nowadays. But even though it's nothing fancy, it's just something I highly recommend to buy, just because of the production level of this tree. Right here, the variegated lemon is looking good, looking really, really good. And I'll show you some of the fruit and see what it looks like, but that's what it looks like right there. And we're getting a gigantic rainstorm. At the same time. So this is my variegated lemon. Produces beautiful. It's fairly vigorous, but maybe not as vigorous as these guys right here. I was hoping some of the rain would stop, but it doesn't look like it will, and that's okay. Right here we have our Eureka Frost lemon. We actually pulled off all of the fruit on this guy, and we just let it grow big and strong. This is probably my second biggest lemon tree overall. Not most vigorous, I would say, with fruit. It produced some fruit. We took it all off, and we're just letting it grow big and strong. It's probably close to 10 feet tall right now. Over here we have our Kishu mandarin. This was one of our slowest growers, and then all of a sudden it took off this year. And so we can tell some of the differences between both. We have this fruit right here on the same exact tree, and then we have this guy right here. Kind of interesting on some of the fruit, so bumpy during this particular time. Another one that's super bumpy, and it seems to have that characteristic of a very bumpy type of fruit. And then here's some with a nice smooth texture to it. We haven't tried it yet, but probably in the next couple of weeks we'll be trying this. It's tending to get a little bit more vigorous, which is nice. This one right here is our Pixie mandarin, and this one I remember was doing horrible at the very beginning. Had lots of fruit on it. The fruit tasted good. They were about that size. And then I pulled off all the dead leaves. I pulled off everything from it that looked a little bit diseased, rejuvenated it, and then took off all the fruit, and this is what it looks like currently. It looks really, really good, nice and vigorous during this time, and it's catching up to some of our other mandarins. And this guy right here is one of our Clementine mandarins. And so with this guy, he's grown big, vigorous, strong, and so much so that I'm having to put up some T-posts and trying to tie them back so we can have a nice walkway. But I'll show you what some of this fruit looks like. So we did leave quite a bit of fruit on these guys. And so this is what it looks like. It's a good mandarin. It doesn't have too many seeds, but it does have some. It's very sweet. I like it a lot, and my babies like it too. This one right here is our Ponkan mandarin, and this one has grown very vigorous, very strong as well, and no issues with it at all. We can see some of the fruit over here too as well, and that's what the fruit looks like. I don't think we've had any of the fruit off of this tree just yet, but another good one. Highly recommend it too, as well. As you can see the vigor in this tree. And then also this one right here. Now it's short, it's squatty, but man, this Page mandarin has probably been my best producing mandarin. No, actually, I'm sorry, I take that back. Second best producing. We're coming up to the first, but it produces a beautiful orange, couple seeds in it. Overall, very good mandarin. Highly recommended, especially if you don't have a lot of space, as it kind of tends to do with what you're seeing right here compared to these mandarins. And then of course the best of the best, and it still continues to be the best of the best. As you can see, there are hundreds of honey mandarins on this guy right here. It has just pumped and pumped and pumped and pumped, and so much so that we are taking off some of the fruit. And this fruit is delicious too as well, but you can kind of see with what they look like in my hand right here, not as big as some of the other ones, most likely due to the size of the tree too as well. They tend to stay a little bit more on the smaller side, and then on top of that, I would say more so look like the cuties that you would find at the store. I definitely want to go ahead and show you the other side of this, because this will kind of give you a better perspective of it. But this is by far, again, still my favorite of all my favorite citrus trees that I have. And if you have a chance, definitely want to go ahead and find something like this. Take a look, get it for yourself, and you'll also have hundreds of honey mandarins, and they're delicious, absolutely delicious. I would say this is my best tasting mandarin out of all of them, but my best tasting fruit, I would say overall, is still that Caracara. But this one, I mean, you can't beat the vigor, you can't beat the fruit production on it, nothing. So good one to have. This one right here is our Mexican lime, and it is finally touching the tip top of the plastic. My idea behind this one is to try to take off all the fruit as possible, but sometimes that can evade me. So like every so often I'll find one like this on there, and then a couple like this. Still trying to take them off little by little, because my idea behind this is trying to get these trunks, hard to see it, but I'm trying to get them even bigger than with what I'm showing you with my hand. But the idea behind it is to go ahead and try to get them big, vigorous, get enough leaves on these guys, because these guys, and then also my Persian limes, are just so weak when it comes to the cold versus my clementines. My clementines are champions. They can take any cold, any heat, no issue at all. The limes, the Persian limes, can take the heat, no issue with that. It's just a cold. So I want to try to get these as big as possible as I can. And then on top of that, once we do get our freezing weather, if they do die back a little bit, we'll have enough of a vigorous stump on it that will be able to kind of shoot up like how we are currently right now. This right here is a Persian lime. Man, it's just pumped out limes this year, and I keep on trying to take them off with the same idea that I was just telling you guys about as well, but they just keep on producing and producing, and which is not a problem, but again, we want to get these roots and then these stumps as big as possible right here. Same thing with this Persian lime. Just keeps on pumping and pumping, trying to find a regular lime. So this one's turning yellow, or starting to try to turn yellow, which is the color we want right there. And let's see, this is also the color that we want. Really, to turn a little bit more yellow is when it tends to be a little bit more juicy. So, but we really wanted to kind of show you this back part of it right here on this honey mandarin. And this is just, again, ridiculous. This is just the other side of it. There's some on the ground, but it just, again, it keeps on going and going and just keeps on producing super delicious mandarins on these trees, and can't say enough about it. Also, we'll show you the back of some of these other trees right here. You can tell on some of these other mandarins, they just produce and produce and just do so well. Can't complain, always doing good all the time. And then of course that Meyer lemon, and let's see, there's even some that are down here. They're just everywhere. So another really good one to have. If you guys have the chance, pick up one of these. In a pot, they did okay when I was growing them. Of course, always does better in the ground. I always tell people if they have a chance, maybe not on this level, but if they stick one in the ground wherever they're located at, if you're in 8A, 8B, or even higher than that, in the 9s or 10s, or even sometimes even lower, just depending on how much work you guys want to do. But if you just stick one in the ground or two in the ground and just put up one of those kind of small little plastic tunnels around it that you can find at Tractor Supply or Orscheln Home or Walmart or online at Amazon, it's always, I think, an interesting thing to do. And especially, I think, probably with the Meyer lemon and probably the clementines, as they just tend to do so well, whether it's hot or cold. So if I really wanted to do it at home, I would probably do that, and then maybe wrap some Christmas lights around it when it does get cold, and then possibly take it off whenever it heats up. So that might be an idea for some of you guys to try if you're not going to go to something like this or on this level right here. But it's always fun doing this. It's always fun making these videos, and most likely I'll probably do a taste test of some of these fruit coming up in the next couple of weeks, especially like comparing some of the satsumas to the clementines to some of the oranges to some of the Meyer lemons. So let me know if you guys want to see that right there. If there's any questions that you have, please go ahead and shoot them down below. And I would definitely appreciate it if you guys liked and subscribed to our videos, and hopefully I can make more videos as time goes along over these next several years. But thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate the time. And also, if you guys can find us on either social media, on Instagram or on Facebook at Little, it's Little, and then Bear is spelled BEXAR, and then Farm, FARM, and the Bear comes from Bexar County in San Antonio, where I grew up. So anyways, again, this is Zone 8A/8B, China Spring, Texas, growing in a high tunnel. If anybody could do it, you guys could do it too. Thanks, guys. Bye.